In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Jussie Smollett case. Now, a lot of you may have heard of this. If you're clicking this from the title, you probably have. If not, there's going to be a lot of sources online that you can find out information on this. General idea, this was an actor from the United States of America. He's in his mid-30s. He's black, identifies as black. I say identifies as black because his dad is Jewish, but if he added Jewish in this attack, the supposed attack that he was allegedly attacked in Chicago about 2 weeks ago, 2 a.m. in the morning, went to Subway, walking out, had someone shout, "Hey, Empire," or something like this, something or rather, and then they went in and jumped him out of camera view or anything, and then put a noose around his neck and doused him with bleach. Then he went home for 40 minutes and called the cops, and he was talking to his manager, didn't want to turn the phone to the cops, which is another thing. Anyway, so all these things come out, and it turns out that the supposed suspects might be these Nigerian brothers from Nigeria who live in the United States of America, who were actors on the show. And now it turns out that Jussie Smollett just released right now, a little bit ago, I just watched the news, been following this story a lot, really jumbled. If you're still here with me, thanks a lot for it. But anyway, he is no longer considered a victim by the Chicago PD in this situation. And there's been a whole lot of things accompanying that, and I want to touch on those things, but if there's one thing you take away from this video that I want to say now, so if you want to stop watching after this, listen, the people who jumped in and supported his narrative and started saying that this is blaming it on Trump, blaming it on what Trump has been doing on MAGA supporters, oh, this is MAGA country, this is because there's been a problem with the United States of America, Donald Trump is dog whistling, blah, 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 all that kind of nonsense, these people are starting to switch slowly by slowly. You're going to see them, people already deleting tweets, people already going and saying, oh, the real victims in this thing are the actual victims of race crimes. And no, this happens a lot. False accusations, people are always like, oh, the real victim is the people making the false, is the actual people who are actually victimized. But no. In most cases, the real victim, if somebody has been identified as somebody who's committed a crime, that person is the real victim already. The person falsely accused is the real victim. So in this situation, clearly, anybody who's being maligned as these racist, horrible, MAGA-loving people, they're the primary victim of a fake accusation. Now, why they want to switch this around is because a lot of people jumped on this. And I think they are a primary, secondary, they're like a 1A victim, is the actual credibility of these people. Because these people are being shown to be completely... How will these people... These are the same people who are telling you, there's no national emergency, this is a fabricated thing. And they couldn't pick this. They couldn't see this. They couldn't see that this was a fabricated story. So how often does this happen? These same people who are supposed to tell you how dangerous Trump is, how dangerous global warming is, how dangerous all these other things are, wait for evidence and these other things. Oh, I'm sure Judge Kavanaugh was actually this kind of horrible person. These are the people who jumped on this, who supposedly lived with Jussie Smollett, knew Jussie Smollett, were friends with him, were vouching for him. They couldn't tell that this was not true. So if they can't tell something about somebody who they supposedly know and care for, how are they going to be able to tell about general things in the world? So the credibility of these people is the actual secondary 1A victim that they're going to try and pan away to something else. But yeah, now into the rest of the video where I just talk about different things I've thought about with this thing and might be related. You might have interest in it. But if not, links in the low bar. Not links in the low bar. There'll be links in the low bar to the merchandise store. But I'm going to go in and talk about other things that are associated with this whole Jussie Smollett case. Things I've been looking at, things I've been thinking about, questions that I saw, things I want to ask you guys. Keep watching or listening or not. Anyway, first thing I'm going to say is if you are in a political situation, some political news comes out, just wait. Wait 24 to 48 hours before you make a reaction, before you make some kind of announcement off of it. Because in my experience, things are changing a lot. So much information comes in that you don't actually pick up on what's going on. Okay, next point. When this first came out, the second they said there was these Nigerian brothers have been caught, people were automatically like, oh, look, it's Nigerians, it's not MAGA. Well, first of all, people were already thinking, oh, it's Chicago. It's not MAGA country. There's not Trump supporters there. Next, when it was actually found out to be Nigerian, Nigerian people. They were like, automatically, there's no way, and Nigerian immigrants, there's no way these are actually Trump supporters. But hey, there's actually people. I'm here in Nairobi, Kenya. I support Trump. I've met other people who are Trump supporters. There's a few, so there's still a chance. But this kind of shows that people do understand there are some racial lines in that kind of situation. So people who might be like, Trump's not necessarily just for white people, they kind of belay some kind of knowledge where they know it's mostly white people, where they get to the point where they're like, oh, it's black people who attack this guy. There's no possible way they're Trump supporters. Maybe they could have been. Anyway, next point. Next thing is Nigeria itself. Nigeria is the Russia of Africa. It's in my experience, I've lived in the United States of America, and the way Russians and those kind of people are kind of looked at as this kind of these questionable people of questionable intent and abilities and things like that. There's just questions going around them. I've actually been confused. This recently, I was walking down, just working out. I guess I had some really old like t-shirts on, like my pants. I was wearing this those string bags and everything. Walking down, my hair, you saw my hair, it's shaggy and stuff like that. Got a beard coming in. Most of the people in Kenya are just clean shaven. They don't really rock beards and things like that. So I'm walking down. It was a cut off shirt. Walking down, it's a rather upscale neighborhood. This car pulls over. It's these cops. They come out. And it's like, hey, unaenda wapi? That's where are you going in Swahili? And I kind of answer them. I'm like, okay, who are you guys? Like, oh, we're police. The guy's like, oh, mini officer, mini police. It is my job to look at my customers. And then I'm like, dude, wait. I didn't say this, but I was just kind of cordial. I'm just kind of laughing. Like, what is this kind of situation? What are you doing here? But it's not your job to look. First of all, you're not my customer. I know this whole situation of taxation, but these police are not. I'm not their customer. If anything, they're my customer. It's like supposedly they're supposed to be serving the people. It's not the other way around. Well, I guess if you're serving the people, if you're like serving somebody in a restaurant, if you're serving the people serving you in the restaurant, you become their customer in that kind of sense. So I guess they're kind of thinking like, okay, if you're in a situation where protect and serve, so I guess the police can kind of say that they're actually doing this. But anyway, they start asking me questions. What's in my bag? I have some sketchbooks with me. They look at my ID and things like, oh, you're not Kenyan. They thought I was Nigerian. I'm like, I'm not Nigerian. I have Kenyan citizenship. I showed them my ID, whatnot. And they're like, okay, you're not from here, or you were born abroad. And I was born out. But anyway, so this happens. Nigerian is the thing. It's not the first time that security people or just people in general in Kenya have asked if I was Nigerian or from West Africa. But anyway, Nigerians are kind of looked up in that kind of way. So it's kind of weird kind of seeing how the Nigerians are being looked in this way. Now you could go out and like, this is racist against Nigerians. It's just white people blaming Nigerians for like white people issues. No, it's not. But so just a little bit interesting. I thought you guys might have some interest in knowing that that's kind of, I think in general, that's kind of how Nigeria has its kind of place. You know, they also have the scams coming out of Nigeria, these princes, this violence and things like that. I think even the country itself, because the country itself has a big northern part that's a desert, and then Siberia also in the Siberian tundra, a big part of Russia is also kind of a desert. A desert doesn't necessarily have to be hot. A desert can also be cold. That's a big area with like extreme temperatures and not that much water. That's just how deserts are defined. Another thing is also the populace. It's very religious, but that's just Africa in general. Russia is also very religious. It's split between Christians, and there's a big Muslim population in Russia as well, like the Uyghurs, and I think the people who come from like the former Soviet states, like Khabib Nurmagomedov. I said that right? Maybe. But yeah, he's a UFC fighter, and he comes from Uzbekistan, and that's a very big Muslim population in that place. And you also have that in Nigeria, where the people in the north are mostly Muslim. So you have that kind of issue there. Now let's go into the why Jussie did this. Why would he have done this? You know, a lot of people are out there asking, like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe someone would lie about this. And there's been people on the political right in different kind of situations. When a situation comes up, people say the woman would never lie about this. Why would someone lie about this? Why would a black man lie about a racist attack? Why would somebody lie about this kind of situation? And they can't believe this. And I think this is a positive thing, because yes, I think there might be a small percentage that's actually just putting this on, but most people are good people, and most people still do actually think that somebody would not lie about this. Most people cannot personally think about them in their own lives coming up with a situation that they would lie about this. Most people can't really think that somebody would actually know enough about something like climate change and then get to a point where they say this is a disaster. It's an impending disaster. They say in 10 years, if we don't do something, it's going to be a disaster situation. Most people think that no one would make that up and say it unless they were confident, unless they knew something that you didn't know, that they didn't know. And then they say, okay, yes, we're going to believe this person. Just like with this Jussie Smollett things. People can't really think, why would somebody just make this up? You know, they had that whole thing coming out that, oh, he was making it up because he was being written off the show. And I don't even think that might be a big thing. It's just, for me, the only reason he needs to do it, besides just being able to do it, I'm more surprised more people are doing it. And this is why I think more people don't really buy into this whole narrative that the country is really going, United States of America is really worse than ever, and Trump is really going to usher in this new Reich, Trumpenreich and things like that, and there's going to be camps killing people off. Because if you have convinced yourself that Trump really is some kind of antichrist, some kind of end of the world kind of person, then making this up is a small thing to do. It makes sense. This is actually a heroic thing to do. If you can convince yourself that you risking being caught in this kind of situation, and if this is really the information that's come out, why would you use your own stuff to, I mean, you can go and buy a prepaid card or something. I guess if you buy a prepaid card, it kind of goes there. But if you have like cash, just don't keep the receipts. I mean, there's other ways to do this. I mean, the rope was found in these Nigerian brothers' home. The bleach was there. They said they rehearsed it. It was $3,500 for them to go to Nigeria. Then they come back and get their $500 more. It just seems like I don't know if I just think about things too much, but I just think I would have planned this in a whole different way. Maybe I'm going to pause here and kind of think of a way I could have planned this. Okay, I just thought about this a little bit. And of course, I've been thinking about this for, longer, but just gave about a couple minutes thinking about how I would do this if I was in his position. First of all, I think you definitely need to take a lot more of a beating than he did. A black eye or something. And I just think he wasn't as into it as I guess someone should be when you're actually getting to this. Take a bit more damage than he actually took. Apparently he had maybe some bruised ribs and he had some contusion on his face. And I've seen videos of people who self-harm and then call the police on somebody, like domestic violence situation. The woman will just hit herself and then call the police. That takes a lot more damage, and they seem to be a lot more into this. But I guess that's a crime of passion, which might take more, it might instill in somebody more, might give them more gusto to actually get this thing. They might actually have more hate. And this is one thing. Okay, is this a hate crime? I think in general, you don't like people you commit crimes against. Do I think Jussie hates Trump supporters? Maybe he does. But I think this is more something personal in him. But anyway, I think you take more damage. For me, I would have done some kind of thing where maybe I got beaten up and take an actual hit by the person. Then if somebody's on the phone, maybe they can hear you do it. If the guy on the phone wasn't actually, his manager supposedly was on the phone and the phone dropped. If it turns out his manager wasn't actually in it, wasn't actually involved in this kind of situation, knew about this thing happening, then you get somebody on the phone who'll hear you getting hit in the face, like, hear the people yell whatever they yell, if they actually yelled anything, unless the whole situation. But I'd make sure they actually yell something when somebody's on the phone. I actually take an actual hit, a black eye or something. I guess you could really get hurt by doing this, but if it's worth it, if it's to stop this Trumpenreich, you do this. You take that hit, you get the noose on your head. I wouldn't include the noose because the noose is too much. Like, why is people walking around the streets with the noose? Just yelling MAGA is enough. Maybe throwing a hat on you or something, or just something. Red paint or something. I mean, but why would somebody be carrying out red paint? I think adding accessories is too much. I mean, maybe he just comes from the drama media background where he's thinking, let me add this. And I think he over-accessorized, went too much with these kind of things. And then I would go back into the subway, have somebody else discover this kind of situation. From there, you can kind of now build up because somebody else is involved in that kind of raw situation. Now, maybe he just wanted it to be filmed because he did this apparently close to a camera, and turns out the camera wasn't active, it was filming a different side, so nothing was caught. And if there was actually video of some kind of attack, even if it was a short thing, that would have been picked up by the media and turned into something like the hands up, don't shoot thing, hands up, don't hit. There's no film about that, but there's such an indelible image in a lot of people. It's even been proven, it's been shown that this didn't happen, but people still hold up on this hands up, don't hit thing. So maybe he was just counting on it coming out in some kind of film and it would go with it. And yeah, man, he's probably on some kind of suicide watch. If he actually planned this and now it's come out, I'd be worried about this guy committing suicide at this point in time, because so many people came up with him. And I'm telling you, these people need to have their credibility checked. You need to actually, and there needs to be some kind of source, some kind of resource where people kind of just can go up and look at people's history. Now when you're coming up in these political, the new, just anything coming up when these people are talking about actual situations in the world, giving their opinions and things, giving instructions on why they should do things. You should be able to just go online and then say, what has this person said in the past about this topic or these other topics? What's their credibility rate? And I think there's sites doing that. There should be some kind of place. I think this place is kind of building that kind of thing up. I think it's useful because these people need to be checked. So many people came out and backed him in very public ways. And now what's happening with these people? Well, anyway, so I would have done that kind of situation, get to somebody else to discover me if I want it to be a situation where it doesn't have to be filmed, but yes, somebody else discovers you, and then that person is involved, that person can say, yeah, this person was really shocked. And I think having that other testimony from somebody who's really not involved at all in this kind of situation adds some more gusto into this kind of thing. Somebody who does not know you at all, see you in that kind of situation. I think that adds more. So that's just my short idea of what I would have done. What would you guys have done if you were setting up some kind of fake crime? If this turns out to be some kind of fake crime, what would you have done different from what apparently this Jussie Smollet guy did? Now, before I get to the last thing, I'm going to read these two articles, just tweets and other expressions from people. As I said, I think these people's credibility needs to be questioned for supporting this without evidence and this coming out. And I think it's going to be interesting to see which of these people kind of just don't say anything, which ones delete what they said, which ones come back with some kind of contrived kind of apology, mea culpa type of thing in this kind of situation. But yeah, anyway, why would Jussie Smollett do this? I appreciate that most people don't imagine somebody would pretend to do this. Like even for me, when I was like, okay, I think I would have done it in a different way, but actually sitting down and actually thinking it through and trying to plan it out, I'm like, so many times in that process, you'd be like, why am I doing this? What kind of situation? Because he had a show. I mean, this thing's coming out. He had an album coming out. He had a music video that he recently released that he had a news on it. There was some time earlier he got supposedly a letter with cutout, with those, how you know, like cutout from magazines or different kind of letters, something with MAGA. This supposedly, don't quote me on this, but I think he got this a few weeks before the attack. So maybe could it have been this whole staged planned thing that he was doing to kind of get his record sales up and things like that? I don't know. That sounds really weird. Sounds too desperate in a kind of situation. But hey, people have reasons to do these things. But as I mentioned, if he truly just hated Trump and thought they were evil, setting this up and taking one for the team, his team in this kind of sense, doesn't make that big of an issue. But then you also have to look into parenting. What's his life situation like? The people in his life. How did he not have somebody around him that he'd be like, look, if this person in my life actually found out that I was lying about this, it would be too much. I care about this person too much, and that person cares about me too much. I value what they think too much, that I would not do this. And that gets me into a situation where I think he didn't really have those close connections with people in his life, because I can think of too many people in my life already. There's a few people where, like, for me to do a hoax like this, just to see them, have to face them again after it, the amount of planning I would have to do to get to the point where there's no possible way, or the chances of me actually getting caught are very slim, that I would never have to actually face these people. It's really tough, but Jussie must not have had these people, and that sucks for him. But I still think he should receive some kind of legal, actual punishment for what he's done if this turns out to be a fake, like it's turning out to be. Well, anyway, so parenting is an issue that I just recently saw this story about this supposedly tiger kid of tiger parents. These immigrants came in from Vietnam. Then they had a daughter and a son. They were very strict with them, the tiger parenting type of thing in Asia. And then there was this attack where they came into the home, and then some two guys end up shooting the dad, and the mom died, the dad survived. And it turns out the daughter set this up with her boyfriend at the time. They didn't want her dating. They had locked her up in her room and things like that when they found out she was dating. She had faked her report cards, she had faked going to school, faked the degree and everything, and they found this all out, and they got really pissed at her. She didn't want to live up to that pressure, and then people were talking about this such a horrible kid, like this is a demon kid. Can you imagine giving birth to your own killer? No, can you imagine raising your own killer? I think that's more of a thing, because some of the pressures that they went into. So in that kind of situation, people can just easily put it like, okay, it sucks, but we can see it's definitely this girl. They can get to the situation where, like, the girl's the one who did it. The girl should be punished for it. And people in the comment section of that video I watched, I'll probably leave links below to it, were talking about, hey, how come people are not questioning the parents? Because the way it was being covered like the girl, it's the girl's issue. She's the psycho. She's the crazy person. But hey, what happened to this girl to put her in that situation? So in this kind of situation, I'm also trying to try to empathize and see what would it take for you to accuse somebody of a fake thing? What would it take for you to get in a situation and say, we need to stop this? If you truly think that Trump is some form of Hitler that's going to end the world, then you coming out and saying, I need to accuse this guy who he's nominating to the Supreme Court, which is a part of this whole situation, even though nothing actually happened or I don't have any evidence, is worth it. Making up this kind of MAGA thing is worth it. Making up many more things. Jumping on that Covington kid and be like, look, this is an evidence. This kid's smirk is an evidence of white privilege and white violence. It's easy to see these things. So these people coming out and be like, Camerota here is, I think, an anchor for CNN. She's saying, I was frankly surprised how many people jumped on board at the side of Jussie Smollet. Really? Really? You work for CNN. You don't watch CNN? You don't see all the things you guys have been saying? You guys have set up the environment for people to jump to this and believe this has to be happening. Because when it comes to a point, you've been saying the country's getting more and more racist, there's more and more hate crimes. Are there more hate crimes, or are more and more things being defined as hate crimes? You're truly saying there's more hate crimes now in the United States of America than there were in the Civil War, in the Civil Rights era? Get out of here. I don't want to hear that. That's nonsense. And then people who are saying, is faking a hate crime a hate crime? I don't think so. I know these people have introduced these weapons to use against people. I don't want to use these weapons because I think they're unfair weapons. I don't really agree with the definition of it. And anyway, the definition of hate crime, according to them, is probably going to involve some kind of power plus privilege kind of thing, where it gets to a point where if you're in the majority or something like that, you can't actually be hated in that kind of situation. But anyway, so let's just get to these things. Like I said, there's going to be links below to these articles that you guys can check out for yourself. This is from Share. Jussie Smollett, Empire actor, reportedly attacked in possible hate crime. NPR, villainy, racism, homophobia, promoted by infamous clown by the most infamous clown in the world, is a person that kills Americans. White only is right. America is people of color. GOP goes down with the ship. DJT. There, finally. Trying to go with this situation. It's in caps all over the place with this. Okay, moving on to the next one. That was on January 30th. So again, these are people, I think this is about a day or two after the actual first report came out. Without hearing information, there was already such spotty information at the start, yet these people were already just piling on. And I think these names need to be out there. And shares, you see already, Donald J. Trump. This is on Donald J. Trump. This is from Katy Perry. Standing with and sending love to at Jussie Smollett today. This is a racist hate crime. It's disgusting and shameful to our country. Hashtag, we love Jussie. Now, this kind of situation, I'm also wondering, why are these people coming out and jumping on these things? But you look at the media, you look at people who are actually in movies, who are getting TV shows, who are hosting things. Katy Perry's like hosting So You Think You Can Dance, or some of these kind of really popular shows. And this helps. People hear these things, and you look at some of these people's Twitter profiles or their social media, and they'll just be like posting about their business, about their things, and then all of a sudden, Donald Trump posts. And it's just like kind of sprinkled in there because it's just a thing to do that you know is going to get you some points, and you kind of go along with it. Now, Olivia Moon here, she's an actress also. Jussie Smollett was violently attacked by two white men who poured bleach on him and put a noose around his neck. He was targeted for being black and for being gay. This is why we have to have zero tolerance against homophobia and racism. Jussie's life matters. Now, you see the Black Lives Matter thing here. You go to some sites and they're talking about, oh, Jussie never said it was white people. And somebody pointed out also, they said at one time he said they had a mask on, but they had hats on. There's just a mix. By the very fact that there's so many mixes of what was actually said, when it was said, who said it, is enough proof to see that these people kind of jumped to these conclusions, made these assumptions off of this scattershot of information, and just jumped to these conclusions that, yes, we're living in the racist United States of America. Donald J. Trump is literally Hitler. So, of course, these things are happening. See, attacked by 2 white men. Were there black people or anyone coming in here and saying, Jussie never said there were white people? Because when you're now talking about this scene, when the black people were arrested, these 2 Nigerian brothers, and it's Africans, it's ain't black people. Anyway, black people was a different tribe in the United States of America of people that came over. Anyway, I have videos on that. But coming to this kind of situation, let's call them black for now. People are like, look, he never said there were white people. And people are like, okay, if they're wearing a mask and the hats, and all these things are mixed up together. Anyway, more information is going to come out of this. We're going to know what's on there. Olivia Moon, shame on you. Okay, not shame on her. Whatever. I don't care really. It's just I'm kind of watching this and just through some kind of what's going on here. Billy Eichner. Billy Eichner just got apparently some TV show and everything. He's been very political. I looked through his feed recently and he's been talking about these things. Heartbroken and furious reading about the attack of Jussie Smollet. I want Trump and all MAGA lunatics to burn in hell. So yeah, burn in hell. Now, I don't know if he's actually religious, but I have a bone to pick with some religious people out here. Because, like, religious people were like, oh, these social justice warriors are just, they're just so judgmental. They just jump to these judgments. And it's a horrible thing. Like, they just want to ruin your life the second you do something that you don't believe the way they believe. But those very same people will be like, oh, you don't believe like I do? You don't believe in this kind of sky daddy of mine? You're going to hell. And hell is worse than any kind of destruction of the world that any of these social justice warriors could do. Hell is worse than being fired from your job. So these same people on the political right, the conservatives, the religious people who are like, specifically the Christians in this kind of situation, who say this SJWs need to stop jumping to judgment because who are they to judge? Yet they're like, you're going to hell for this. Something about that. That's just aside. But Billy Eichner, I think he's homosexual as well. So I guess he's taking this a little personally. But yeah, burn in hell. I don't know if he's going to say anything. That's on January 29th. Rosie O'Donnell, again, another big Trump disliker, hater kind of person. He just retweeted something and said, unreal, love to Jussie, heart, heart, and then middle finger to MAGA assholes, Jussie Smollett, hashtag Jussie Smollett. So yeah, man, Rosie O'Donnell, yeah, jumping on this. And wow. I'm still going to remember, like, Donald J. Trump, I think it was his first debate, and this is going to go down in history books. And I've talked about this before, where that is Rosie O'Donnell. I think she has kids, but anyway, she has historically. It's going to go back in the future, like 100 years from now, hundreds of years from now. There's going to be a museum about American presidents, and they're going to be collating things like the debates and this kind of historical thing. The first time somebody came out had never been a politician. Get this, they're going to kind of be showing like documentaries about his run, and they're going to have a situation in the first debate where Donald Trump is there talking, and it's going to be like, hey, we talked about this, and you said women were X, Y, Z, or pigs, and then he's like, only Rosie O'Donnell. That's going to go down in history for the rest of time. The rest of time that people are keeping history on these kind of things, it's going to be known that Rosie O'Donnell was called a pig, and that's kind of hilarious in my opinion. Now next, we're going to go to Rob Reiner. Now, Rob Reiner has known Jussie Smollett. I think he directed some movie where he was in, and I've been really looking into this and just seeing this guy's been very active. Jussie Smollett has been very active, as he said in that ABC interview. And that's the thing, the guy just, I mean, okay, I may question his dedication of actually doing the entire actual attack, staging the attack. But after he's really stuck to his guns on it, went on ABC in an interview and was like, yeah, I really go hard at 45. And that's another thing. These people are like some Harry Potter, like, we can't even say his name. That's it's a religion. And it's not surprising that you have a state that has taken on all the powers of like the Abrahamic gods with 3 Abrahamic religions. They're pretty much omnipotent. They see everything. They can do everything. You're supposed to, the ones you go to for health, for safety, for jobs, for purpose. So it really makes sense that people have switched their idea of God, of religion, over to the state, because these countries, the United States of America and the European countries, were established off of this. And countries in general have had some kind of god deity system, and it's just the state has become those new gods. But anyway, Jussie has really bought into it after, and it's a thing of faith. He's actually gone out and he's talked about it and he's stuck to it. But anyway, Rob Reiner, the horrific attack on Jussie Smollet has no place in decent, human-loving society. Homophobia existed before Trump, but there's no question that since he has interjected his hatred into the American bloodstream, we are less decent human beings. We're less decent, less human, and less loving. No intolerance, no DT, or Donald Trump. So, yeah, again, see, just jumping to saying this on Donald Trump. This is January 30th. Again, where is the actual evidence that hate crimes or homophobia has increased over this time? And I don't think it has. If there's anything that you can say has increased, it might be expressions of it. And a lot of people in the political left are like, but express yourself until you express something I don't like, then shut the hell up. You know, that's the kind of situation. It's a very religious kind of idea here. It's a fundamentalist religious idea here of shutting people down who don't say things that are within your whole belief system. And I don't think he's made any more people more homophobic. I don't think this kind of situation, at least for me personally, it doesn't get to a situation where I'm thinking like, oh, now I'm going to question every black gay person that says they've been attacked. No, I'm going to take that situation as an individual situation, because if you treat people as individuals and not as a collective, then you can actually go from situation to situation. You can have things in the past inform you, but they don't make you judge the whole situation. You take what you've been informed in the past and you say, okay, does that apply to this situation? Okay, Barry Jenkins. I don't know who Barry Jenkins is. He's a Hollywood director. He says this: thinking of Jussie, saddened, heartbroken, angry, all of it. Wouldn't matter that he is the kind of soul, but he is the kind of soul, and this is fucked. This is what all the hateful mongering has wrought. Are you proud? Now, who's he asking, are you proud? There's another thing. The thing he's talking about here, and another thing they're talking about in the whole Empire situation, people are like, nobody who likes Trump is actually watching Empire. They don't know him. They wouldn't say, is that nigga for Empire? Because that's supposedly what they said in this attack situation. And again, this is why people understand this kind of things. And now black people themselves should have been suspicious. A lot of people should have been suspicious because they had this whole black entertainment TV. They know we have black shows that are targeted for black people. If you just had shows, just like TV shows, then yeah, people would just watch it. They're like, okay, it's like, people don't think you're friends. This thing I posted in my wall, this thing I posted on social media it was you put Nicolas Cage's face on Ross from Friends, and he looks even more like Ross. And that's like an across the board thing. Black people watch it, Asian people, immigrants, people watch it from other countries. People know Friends. But Empire, very, very select group of people actually watch Empire. The Venn diagram of the people who are strong enough Trump supporters to violently attack somebody because that person has gone on media and protests against Trump, so they're going to violently attack this person. Why would they do that? Because they know it would just appear wrong for Trump, MAGA country. They know that would just be negative. Why would somebody be that dumb, low IQ that brutish to actually go out and do this thing and not really damage this Jussie Smollett guy in this kind of situation and also watch Empire? The amount of people that do that is very low. So I think people who know Empire, who came out and supported him, should have been the first one. They're like, wait. We've told you, the character they have of Trump supporters, how could they also think that character would be sitting at home watching? Now, they might just have this kind of mindset where they think, we are the shit. What we do is loved by everyone. Maybe because they're getting all these awards and these kind of participation awards and kind of things like that. Or we think people are virtue signaling and giving awards to these kind of shows and things like being told, you guys are doing an amazing job. And they're kind of talking themselves up, and they're not really understanding that you're actually just in a niche kind of situation. But anyway, coming back to this. So Barry Jenkins said, are you proud? So who's he talking about? White people are talking about Trump supporters in this kind of situation? Okay, Beth Barris here. Now, Beth Barris is an actress. She was in Two Girls and something with Kat Dennings. I like Kat Dennings' voice. I like how she looks. So I watched that show for a while. Has a laugh track. I didn't really like it. I checked, and she's now on a show with Cedric the Entertainer, who's a really great actor. And no, talking about Cedric the Entertainer, there's this skit that he'd had. Cedric the Entertainer was a comedian. He had this Kings of Comedy skit, and there was a skit by there was a bit in the comedy stand up by the late great Bernie Mac, where he was talking about this his nephew who had some learning disability, and he'd go to the bus stop and be like with his head kind of rolling back and things like that, and then the bus driver would close the door and go off. Then eventually the aunt came, the mom of the kid came and stopped, and the bus driver came out, and then the bus driver was like he was tasing me. So the bus driver had an issue as well. But that's kind of how I was reading the story as it's coming out. Just like I'd hear stuff like, I was like, is this really happening in this kind of way? But yeah, anyway. So Cedric the Entertainer on the show, Beth Burr said this: "For the love of God, how can people still be supporting the president?" In quotation marks. "I beg of you, please, can we put aside politics and fight together to overcome disgusting, vile hate?" Now, how do these people define hate? I don't know. But he is the president, and president in quotation marks. No, he's actually the president. You don't need the quotation marks. He's actually your president. If you're a citizen of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump is your president. But anyway, so Beth Burrs did this. I don't know if she's just virtue signaling. The tweet has been deleted, so it's not still up. Some of these tweets have already been deleted. Now, Molly Ringwald here. She's an actress, was in 16 Candles and Breakfast Club. And I mean, I think a lot of people had like a red. If you've grown up in the place around white people, I think no matter your race or whatnot, chances are you had like a redhead face, or redheads are really hot. And back in high school, I remember seeing the show, and it's like, wow, she's really cute, and she's still pretty attractive looking for an older lady. But I think she's now doing like business of her own. She acts occasionally. But anyway, this is what Molly Ringwald had to say. "I'm horrified by the vicious attack at Jussie Smollet. Not surprised that the cowards in masks yelled, 'This is MAGA country,' in quotation marks. Our country deserves better than the kind of morally bankrupt people who have taken our democracy hostage and condone hate crimes, sending love to Jussie." So yes, the people might have yelled, "This is MAGA country," but it's turning out that if they did yell that, it was actually something that they rehearsed beforehand and actually went out and did. So, are we going to hear some kind of mea culpa from Molly Ringwald, who deleted this since January 29th, 2019? I don't think so. Now, this is from Cory Booker, who's running for president. Old Spartacus, I guess he calls himself this for some kind of reason. I never actually... he's a really odd person, in my opinion. Really odd. So he said this: "Vicious attack on actor Jussie Smollett was an attempted modern-day lynching. I'm glad he's safe. To those in Congress who did feel the urgency to pass our anti-lynching bill, designated lynching sorry, you have to check the whole thing. There's an image. Designated lynching as a federal hate crime. I urge you to pay attention." So he's actually been interviewed about this, and he's one of the people who spoke, and he's saying, okay, he's like, now I'm going to reserve judgment until more information comes out. Did you reserve judgment before you sent out this tweet before? No, you didn't. Shut the hell up, Cory Booker. And this is campaign material. People need to just have signs of this tweet and just go to actual Cory Booker events. They need to just have campaign ads where they just use the words of these people and don't even say anything. Like, this is the guy you want to vote for? This is Cory Booker. Vote for him if you want. Maybe some people are not going to care. I think it's enough to actually get people. But anyway, now this is Janelle Monáe, who had was really one song I really liked about her. I don't know if it was, she was in, I don't know, she's apparently a pansexual pop star. This was posted by Andy Ngo. Said a pansexual pop star at Janelle Monáe said in a deleted post that it was proof that it's still risky daily to be black, out, and proud human being. And you can see the FBI statistics on hate crimes here. You tell me how statistically significant it is. So there's hate crimes are really okay. Josh Gad, again, it's an actor. He's been somewhat politically active again. Deleted tweet since January 29th. "This makes me sick. At Jussie Smollett, we are with you today, my friend. Sending unlimited love your way. My heart breaks for you and a country where this is the kind of thing that can happen on a regular basis. So, define regular basis. That's not going to be done. Anyway, George Takei, who is he played Dr. Sulu. I think he's one of the more famous homosexual actors in Hollywood. Doesn't really act that much anymore. Now he's gone more into he's pretty much an online activist. You used to follow he had some funny like Facebook posts and things like this, social media. But then he got a lot more political recently, over the last couple of years, and stopped following his stuff. But he's definitely one who chimes in very quick on these kind of situations. So, as a fellow, I'm trying to do a Sulu voice. He has this voice like, oh my. Like, I think I'll often say a lot also. It's still kind of funny. Yeah, this meme was like, oh my. Anyway, so, Dr. Sulu, George Takei here, as a fellow Stonewall ambassador. Now, Stonewall ambassador, I think it's this place, if I get this correctly, it was a place in San Francisco where there was a big gay rights movement that came out from it. There was like a street called Stonewall. I think this might have been involved with the whole like Harvey Milk thing, where the gay community kind of came up for just like their rights and acknowledgement. And now there's like gay pride parades in pretty much every major city in the United States of America, pretty much every large capital city in the West. It's expanded way. I think even here in Nairobi, Kenya, they have some kind of like gay pride events. But to say that it's a situation where it's a lot worse for gay people today than it has been in the past, I disagree with that. Maybe when you go even further in the past, like prehistoric, the times like Aristotle and the Greek times, where it's like people were talking about love in the actual book. What's this book? The book, the Symposium. They were talking about eros, love, and in that kind of situation, there was talks about it was very open, where these people had more sexual, physical relationships with younger boys and apprentices, and mostly with their wives. It was just to have kids. They didn't really associate that much with the women in that kind of situation. That whole romantic love kind of situation wasn't really a thing that they had with women. So, back then, homosexuality might have been a lot more accepted than it is now. But in the West is the best for pretty much any kind of group of people. I hope the West is even the best for communists. But I hope we can make the West the worst place for communists in the world. Let's try and work towards that. Anyway, so George Takei is the Stonewall ambassador. I think that's what it is. Could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. So as a fellow Stonewall ambassador, my heart goes out to Jussie Smollet. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, which launched the LGBTQ civil rights movement. This horrific incident underscores the struggle we still face. Thank you, Jussie, for your courage. Now, so that's the thing. I think it happened in that kind of situation in Stonewall. Now, I think back then it might have just been LG. It did have the LGBT, but I think they've added the bisexual, they've added transsexuals, they've added queer, and these are kind of different kind of situations where I think lesbian and bi was a binary type of situation, lesbian and gay, I think. But LGBT, homosexual just means you like somebody of your same gender, or your same sex. Homosexual, single sexual. So yeah, gay is for the men, lesbian is for the women. Then now it goes to bisexual. Now trans don't have to be. Can you be a cis trans if you are a transsexual male to female and you still like females? Does that make you gay? Or I guess because they say you become a woman, so that would make you gay. But then if you were a trans to female and then you liked men, that would make you straight. So you wouldn't be part of the G. So you just be the. So anyway, and queer, I'm still not quite sure what queer is supposed to mean. And they've added other letters and things like that, and there's a lot of confusion happening in this kind of situation. But anyway, yeah, so that was from George Takei. Nabil Prady. The horrific story of Jussie Smollett makes an important point. While there's some whipping up tales of danger coming over the border, the real and documented danger to America is coming from homegrown right-wing, racist, homophobic, and anti-Semitic movements. See, this guy may have added... Okay, this guy, I don't think he added the anti-Semitic because Jussie Smollett is also half Jewish. His dad is Jewish, but I guess they're just going to like... Kind of just... We're not going to talk... I think his dad is full Jewish, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to focus on the black and gay because I guess that's what he identifies as. So we're just going to completely wipe out his thing and not talk about the anti-Semitic aspect of this. But, hey. Again, like I'm saying he's Jewish. I need to check because Jewish does not necessarily mean you could be religious Jewish and not necessarily be what's it called, and not be Caucasian. You could be a Negro and be Jewish. Okay, so let me just check here. His father was Jewish. His family emigrated from Russia and Poland. Smollett's mother is African American. So Russia and Poland. So he probably is Caucasian, an actual Caucasian. Russia and Poland might actually be from the Caucasus Mountains area. So he might be genetically Caucasoid or whatever you want to call it. For Smollett is biracial, but they're going to focus on him being black here because it carries more points. Now here we go. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, because like apparently when you say things in Spanish, you're supposed to actually use the Spanish accent. I really don't like when people do that, but I guess I understand why they do it. Anyway, here we go. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez posted this because she quoted something, and then somebody was. Let me just get the whole thing up. She posted this. She retweeted something from Entertainment Tonight. Entertainment Tonight said, "Breaking: Jussie Smollet has been hospitalized in Chicago after a possible homophobic and racially charged attack." And Ocasio-Cortez took this, retweeted it, and said, "There is no." Her voice is really high. Demsosh Bay, her voice. Sometimes she wears these big jackets and she looks like she's like cosplaying as an adult. I don't know if that's actually what she's doing. But anyway, there is no such thing as racially charged. This attack was not possibly homophobic. It was a racist and homophobic attack. If you don't like what's happening to our country, then work to change it. It is no one's job to water down or sugarcoat the rise of hate crimes. So, I don't know if she deleted this yet, but she's an up-and-coming star, Democratic Socialist star, and I'm going to have a lot more on that. I just don't believe people really know what socialism is and can actually go out there. Because I've tried to have conversations with some people, and I haven't seen a lot of people who actually can define socialism in a sense. I have seen people literally research and write down a list of definitions of a whole bunch of things and actually write socialism is the idea that people should get equal something. And I'm like, that is not socialism. But people actually walk around with that in their mind thinking that's socialism, and wow, that is a bit crazy in my opinion. It's a bit out of touch. Not crazy, it's out of touch with this reality. So yeah, that's here. Non-binary they/them actor at Nico Tortorella, said that the red hat is the white hood. No ifs and or buts. If you wear it, you attacked Jussie. Speaking about white hood, we've had a lot of people two people who came out with blackface. One person was supposedly wearing the white hood. Going on. See, ending goal here says activists want to expand the definition of violence to include expressions of speech, clothing, and thought. And that's what I'm saying. If you start expanding what hate crimes are, then it gets to the point where it's going to seem that hate crimes are rising, but they're not. Even if we had the same exact number of hate crimes percentage-wise, and they were let's say they were the same amount, but we have a better way of actually finding out how many happened. Then the ones that used to go undocumented are actually being documented. So that's enough already to show an increase. Now you could have a situation where it's actually dropping, but more people are actually reporting, and that's actually helping it drop. But because more people feel comfortable enough to report because they'll actually feel they're going to be believed. In the past, there was 100, let's say 10 years ago, in any given year, 10 years ago, there was 1,000 attacks. But those 1,000 people lived in an environment where only 50 of them thought, I'm actually going to be believed, and came out and reported it. Now you live in a time where maybe there's 500 attacks. But 400 of those people feel they're in a community, in an environment where you're actually going to be believed by those attacks because people have come out and shown they're not going to stand for this. Then 400 people report. It's going to be an increase of reported attacks over those 10 years from 50 to 400. So it may seem that there's more hate crimes, yet the actual number of them in total that actually happen have reduced. And the higher amount of reporting is actually occurring because society is less tolerant about that situation. And you see this in kind of situations. Oh, there's food poisoning in the situation. You want to tell me there's been more food poisoning today than there was in the past? No. But there's more cases of food poisoning because people know what food poisoning is. People understand if you report food poisoning, the people who food poisoned you can now get sued. You can do this and this. So people understand there's now a process. They understand what food poisoning is, and then get in a situation where they can go and say, look, I was actually poisoned by these people, so we need to fix what's happening with this food here. So this is all kinds of situations where you can see this happening. Now, here we go. 12 established media journalists who fueled the Jussie Smollet flames. And I'm gonna run through these a bit quick, but we have to put these down now. Eugene Scott, Washington Post, The Fix reporter. Too many, the Smollet incident and the political nature of the assault is yet another reminder for many black gay Americans that this president's vision of a great America does not appear to include them, wrote Eugene Scott for the Washington Post, The Fix. So again, Washington Post, that is fake news, my friend. Eugene Scott, next time you listen to a story from Eugene Scott, know that he said this. Don Lemon, who's just Don Lemon, an excellent series by some guy, John Ward, on Facebook about Don Lemon. It's just a beautiful series. Anyway, not on Facebook, on YouTube. Maybe he's on Facebook too, I don't know. Don Lemon. CNN Don's Lemon told the Red Table Talk, which is this show with Jada Pinkett Smith, I think Jada Pinkett Smith's mom, and daughter Willow Smith. They talk about different topics and things like that. So Don Lemon was on there. Told Real Table Real Talk that he wasn't shocked when he heard Smollett's story, adding that he was concerned about the actor's well-being and having to deal with being black, gay, and famous. So this is one thing I also noticed when I was looking through this before. I was going through these people, and I'm like, okay, these are people of color, these are gay people, these are people who knew Jussie Smollett, and they're in these positions in these mainstream media places, very well paid, rather powerful individuals, have their voice out there, can be heard, and things like that. And yet they're still talking about how unfair the country is, or the world is, towards people like them, while holding these positions of power. So this is, I'm kind of wondering, what is their day-to-day environment in those places that they work? Are they feeling that those people out there are actually against them? Or do they actually kind of feel they got these jobs not because of merit, but because of some kind of like, oh, we feel bad for you getting these points, some kind of guilt in there? But this is this weird kind of situation. So anyway, this is a quote. One has to deal with discrimination as black man, said Lemon. Then on top of that, he has to be gay. And then fame. Fame is not natural. When something happens to you and it's conversational, everyone is coming at you. And so I knew everyone would be picking apart his story. As they should have, Mr. Lemon, as they should have. And you, as a CNN journalist, should have done that as well. But it's not mentioned here, but he's talking about how he's been texting Jussie Smollett daily. So I don't know what he's been talking about. I don't know if he's still texting him. And again, I'm doing suicide watch on this guy. Somebody needs to reach out to him and really be there for him. It'd be unfortunate for just someone to suicide themselves for something like this. I mean, it's a horrible thing, but I'd rather he actually come up to it and face whatever he's done in this situation. And again, if I'm proven wrong in this situation, shall apologize, shall come out, but it just seems like a mess. So here we go. Yamiche Alcindor, PBC, that's like Alcindor? Is Alcindor a Spanish name? Is that like Portuguese? I don't know. Yamiche, that sounds like something from Western Africa. Anyway, PBS NewsHour White House correspondent. We have to do better as a country. This is disgusting, said PBS NewsHour White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor in a tweet referring to the alleged attackers shouting, "This is MAGA country," when it was retweeted by CNN commentator Sally Cohn. Sally Cohn is, I think she's a lesbian. Again, she's a commentator on CNN. She's out there. She has these positions. And yet, apparently, it's such an anti-homosexual country, yet you have all these people in very public positions, getting paid very much, with large millions of followers. And this is... Okay, next is Joyce Vance, MSNBC contributor. If someone commits this kind of act under your banner, you should have the decency to publicly condemn them and say it's not what you stand for. But I doubt Trump will, tweeted MSNBC contributor Joyce Vance in response to Alcindor. And that's the thing. This whole thing, it's rather amazing to see how it just... Not amazing, but it's rather enthralling. It was interesting for me to just go in and see how these things, the domino effect of this coming out, one person retweets, one person talks to this person, someone quotes this person, someone goes in this situation. And now they're talking about how, oh, people on the right are overjoyed that this is fake. What's the kind of situation here? You guys were overjoyed. In a way, you were at least excited and out there talking about how, yes, this is proof. We finally have proof of this racist president and what he's done and all these kind of racist people out there. Listen, first of all, if he actually faked this, then it's more, because this was proof to them that the country is actually violent. Now, I know some of these people kind of make money by the country seeming more violent. They make money by people coming to them to hear about how evil Trump is. So if it comes out that Trump is not that evil, the country is not that violent, they may have to rechange how they actually make this money. But when it comes down to this, if Jussie Smollett wasn't attacked, if he made this up, then in the whole scheme of things, Jussie Smollett was not targeted. He was not subject to receiving that kind of mental post-traumatic stress disorder, that fear of actually having to be a survivor of this actual attack. So that's a positive thing. You don't hear people here being like, okay, yeah, this kind of sucks, but okay, this was too early in the point, but now coming on, I think that's a good point to kind of make. First of all, he has some issues, but one of the issues, he has 99 problems, but post-traumatic stress disorder over being attacked for being gay isn't one about this specific situation. Now, this could stem from other attacks in his past, so we could look into that. But anyway, so that was Joyce Vance over there. So Jamil Smith, Rolling Stone journalist. Journalist again. Journalist. Now, I know when you go on Twitter, it's not necessarily something you research. That's separate when you actually write an article. But here we go. The brutal attack on him in Chicago seems to be yet another example, not just of further moral decay, but of the brand of terrorism that still doesn't seem to spark enough response by Americans, tweeted Rolling Stone journalist Jamil Smith. What's enough response? So what response should be to a fake attack? What should the response be? What are you talking about, Jamil? You're not going to say. April Ryan, CNN analyst. Is this the same person that's in the White House press pool? I don't know. She looks like this one lady that's in the White House press pool. Anyway, so here we go. This attack at Jussie Smollett is a hate crime that should be treated as such, affirmed CNN's April Ryan in a response to NAACP's Derek Johnson, who claimed the actor had been a victim of a racist, homophobic attack and that divisive, hateful rhetoric is putting lives at risk. So, again, you see somebody tweets something out, and somebody co-signs, and somebody co-signs, and somebody co-co-co-co-signs, and somebody co-co-co-co-co-co-co-co-co, and it's just like chickens running around there, co-co-co-co-co-co-co-sign, co-sign, co-co-co-co-sign everywhere. It's just co-virtue signaling everywhere, and you get to this mess. Again, April Ryan. Next time you open Rolling Stone and you see Jamil Smith, know this is what he jumped to. Next time you see April Ryan on some kind of panel talking about something, her opinion on something, remember she wrote this. Jamel Hill, Atlantic journalist. I've met at Jussie Smollett. Jamel Hill is let's check. Is this a guy or is it male? I can't tell this thing. This is not the person from. Is this? Yeah, this is the ESPN person that. Yeah. Okay. She tweeted this. I guess she got a job by the Atlantic, which is pretty. I mean, it's a pretty big publication. So she got fired, or she got let go from ESPN for saying the president was a terrorist or something like that, white supremacist and whatnot. And she was on The Six with this other African American guy, this black guy, and the ratings were low. And she came out with all these things, and that show got canceled. And then she got dropped from that and got another job. A lot of people unemployed in the world. A lot of people don't really have savings, but Jamel probably has a decent background. She's not just spending her money just crazily. But here we go. This is what she writes, get another job. Anyway, I've met Jussie Smollett. I don't know her voice. I'm doing these voices. I'm just kind of going into these voices. I guess some people listening to this might not be actually watching her. Anyway, I've met Jussie Smollett a few times at social events, and he emanates warmth and joy. I'm just disgusted and appalled that he has suffered the unimaginable, praying for him and his loved ones. And see, that's what I'm saying right now. And I guess he still suffered the unimaginable, because there's still something unimaginable for him to have gotten to this point where a lot of people are thinking we can't really imagine what somebody would need to do to get to the point where they put this fake kind of attack out. But the attack itself, if it's unimaginable, then now that you're finding out that it didn't happen, don't you kind of have to admit that he didn't go through something unimaginable? So at least this particular thing. And I'm seeing her recent tweets here. I went over to it. No, nothing, no mentioning about the Jussie Smollet thing. No, not posting anything. No, definitely, yeah. I don't think she's just posting about Colin Kaepernick getting paid for the thing, not going to trial. Yeah, okay, yeah. Anyway, yeah, go ahead with it. I don't think she's going to mention much on this, but let's see when the actual case comes up. People are already talking about how they don't trust the police and all this kind of situation, blah, blah, blah. But he's lawyered up, so why would he lawyer up? I guess it's just a wise thing to do, whether you've done something wrong or not. Anyway, so Zerlina Maxwell, MSNBC analyst. The media is broken. I think they can call the attack, if they can call the attack on Jussie, if they can't call the attack on Jussie racist straight up, then they have to find alternative employment, argued MSNBC analyst, scrutinizing any media that has been referring to the incident as an apparent hate crime. Apparent hate crime, continued Maxwell. Sure, because that has a legal definition. But to be clear, pouring bleach on a black person while you're yelling about MAGA equals racist. Okay, Zerlina. And again, there was people out there. I looked at some kind of the root. There was this article. People were like, "Oh, you never said that," because this was an article coming out and talking about how, hey, this might actually be a hoax. People coming in, "Oh, he never actually said that. He never actually said there are white people." Because people were like, "Okay, how can you tell they're white if they're wearing like ski masks and things like that and all this kind of things?" And there's just so many things to kind of wonder. Here on Zerlina Maxwell, she's a black lady. Her first tweet is here. Yeah, it says the guy responding, Kevin Senjoba here, is MAGA is a new KKK. You know, they're going out posting these things with team, they're just posting all these things, and yeah, let's call a thing, people. So what's the thing? These people are they going to come back and change their mind? No, these things kind of go on, and maybe it's just Twitter that post comes and then it kind of goes on. And like I said, there's going to be links below to these, so you guys can go on and check if you're interested in this. I know occasionally I'm going to be going back and kind of checking and seeing what's happening, but most of these people I'm seeing, if they're tweeting about things, they're tweeting about the NBA. Like there was this, I wonder how many NBA people jumped on this kind of thing, because the All-Star weekend was going on right now, so some people are talking about this kind of thing, and yeah, so yeah, here she retweeted something about this attack. On February 15th by Jill Filipovic. Is it Filipovic or Filipovic? It's Filipovic. Is that Filipovic or Filipovic? I think it's Povic. Okay, which is how this Jussie made up an attack story started. Pure speculation, not really investigation or verification from the people with a vested interest in believing hate crimes are real. Note that skepticism is only the default for some victim stories. Okay, you see, some of these people, there's been very many of these things. Recently, there's been a couple of these hoax things. The Covington thing came out to be not really a thing, and then there was something else between then, but the news cycle just moved so fast. And then now this one, people jumped on this one deep. I think people are really, really into this one. The Mueller thing is kind of coming by. The Russian investigation seems to be coming towards an end. It's been 2 years. I think it might be one of the turning points in this whole situation for a lot of people. They're just really invested. These people are just doubling down. It's a bit cray in my opinion. Here we go. Joy Reid, MSNBC correspondent. Nooses never really disappeared as a message. Joy Reid really annoys me. Yeah, so you might say I'm biased, but I'm just reading. This is what I'm saying. You don't even have to talk about these people. You just post their words. This like, are these the people? Are these the people you believe? Is this your team? Is this who you want to be with? Anyway, so Joy Reid. Nooses have never really disappeared as a message for the very specific... Why am I saying like a guy's voice for Joy Reid? Joy Reid. Very annoying. Nooses have never really disappeared as messages for the very specific kind of terror, say the MSNBC's Joy Reid. But every time they're used, my God, it's chilling. Praying for Jussie's full recovery and for all of us. So thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. This isn't only a thing. I've seen people on the left kind of make fun of people on the right of the whole thoughts and prayers, saying like, oh, we need gun control laws. What are your thoughts and prayers? So here we go, thoughts and prayers. So Joy Reid, tweet is still up. She hasn't deleted it yet. But you know, I'm saying like, you're seeing these kind of things. I don't think there's going to be any actual pushback. Again, she's retweeted some things recently, last couple of hours. She's been active. Hasn't really actually posted anything about See, this is the thing. I'm still waiting. They're still waiting for the actual case to come out. And the Chicago PD is still waiting to have another interview with Jussie Smollett. And I'm going to go back to a few of these things and check once the actual thing comes out and see who comes out and is like, hey, we were completely wrong and sorry or something. I don't want apologies. I don't want anything from these people. I just want to see what their reaction is going to be. I'm interested in seeing what their reaction is to kind of understand where this whole social zeitgeist is going. Now, Karen Attiah, Washington Post editor. Regarding the heinous attack at Jussie Smollett, yet another reminder that Trump's ascendance and the resulting climate of hate has meant that lives have actually been increasingly at stake since 2015. Smollett could have been killed by those thugs screaming MAGA. Let that sink in, tweeted Washington Post editor Karen Attiah. The tweet is still up. This is a black lady, Global Opinions editor. She's written here Ghanaian, Nigerian, American. So yeah, the Ghanaian, Nigerian, American, that's, again, you see, when you go like Ghanaian, Nigerian, American, does that mean her parents are that or whatnot? But like, I've lived in different countries, born in France, lived in Nairobi, lived in the United States of America, but genetically I'm a Negro. Like, my tribe is a Luya tribe. These are just things that just happen to be. Also just happen to be, like, when you go, like, what am I? Like, I am a Kenyan citizen right now, so I'm Kenyan, I'm American. It's culturally, it'd be a lot more, like, Western American, things like that. But if I become an American citizen, I'm just going to be an American. And if you have dual citizenship, then maybe you can say Kenyan and American. But when people write these kind of things, Ghanaian is not a race. Nigerian is not a race. There's so many different tribes and things like that in there. So, but anyway, I haven't heard of anyone who has triple citizenship. But maybe you're saying this is just me just kind of going too much on this situation. But anyway, so thanks for listening and being here in this whole video, just as I go through this frustration over again. And yeah, but anyway, here we go. Amy Siskind, Siskind, S-I-S-K-I-N-D, K-I-N-D. I think it's Siskind. Anyway, Huffington Post contributor. Can we get anyone in the... Okay, I'm not just going with the whole, like, Valley Girl type thing. I actually looked at her. She looks like a brunette, kind of svelte, thin, slim. She's been on a panel show. I guess I could check the panel show to see our voices. I'm just going with the little Valley Girl type thing. It's Huffington Post and everything. Anyway, can we get anyone in the Trump orbit to condemn the two MAGA men who brutally attacked Jussie Smollett, a gay black man, and put his head in a noose while saying this is MAGA country, so others don't feel like your silence is legitimizing hate? How about you at Real Donald Trump? Tweeted Huffington Post contributor Amy Siskind. Confirmed Trump needs to address this attack and publicly condemn it, continued Siskind in another tweet, which included a Huffington Post article that did not confirm anything other than the fact that Smollett had spoken to the police. So now, I checked with her. She was one of the people that was more interesting with the whole like thing, because there was people going back and forth, and she was kind of moving the goalposts and saying like, okay, I didn't confirm, like, oh, if it's this attack, it means pretty bad. Because as the story was developing, they're like, wait, you said confirmed. What has actually been confirmed? Has anyone confirmed that it was white people? Was there actually a confirmation that it was MAGA country? Because Jussie didn't necessarily say that to begin with. Like, that might have been something he added later, and it's back and forth. So anyway, Huffington Post contributor does not necessarily mean she's a journalist, but I think I saw her on an actual panel show. But hey. Brooke Baldwin, CNN journalist and news anchor at the last one, bringing this all in. Absolutely despicable, said CNN's Brooke Baldwin on CNN Newsroom. And this is America in 2019, current year. That's where we're going to end it. We're going to end it from the current year. Anyway, links below as I mentioned. Check out the merchandise store. You can get some stuff out there. A lot more coming out with this thing. I'm probably going to do another follow-up on this thing once everything comes in. Once I see the reaction about these guys. What were your thoughts? When you first heard about this, what did you guys think? Did you believe it? Did you hear about it after more information was out? Did you hear about it like hours after it happened? Are you just hearing about it? Do you even know about this thing? Let me know what you guys think. Goodbye.